Hi, everyone. Well, we are back for another lunar cycle. And this has been a really interesting month, hasn't it, Babula, with everything going on, all the things that we're seeing, which were following on from the explanation from the last lunar cycle with the new moon in Libra. But this month we're seeing Pluto, Saturn, well, Pluto has already gone direct, but Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter and Mercury coming out of their retrograde phases. Yeah. I guess when we've had the opportunity to do a lot of inner soul work because of all those retrogrades, but those planets are now waking up from their retrograde slumber and now lurching us forward in cosmic shifts, aren't they?
They sure are.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start off with the full moon, the next lunar cycle, and take us through the rest of the month.
Okay, yeah. So it's great that you started off with that retrograde theme, because it's true. We've had, if we include the way out of planet Eris, we've been in the last months actually, and particularly in the last week with Mercury too, 8 planets in retrograde motion. So those retrograde phases are times when, you know, we say this all the time, but it's true. You just use the prefix RE, which means to return, to go back, reviewing, revising, revisiting, reevaluating, there's hundreds of them. And so that's what's happening. A planet in the sky appears to be going back over where it has already traveled. It goes back there. You're going on a trip and you realize, oh, you've left something behind. You have to actually go back. And often something happens in the return back over that old ground. And then we move forward again and on we go. But something important's happened in that revisiting phase.
It's like following our breadcrumbs, isn't it, that we've dropped along the way?
That's right. And often it's to reinvestigate some themes or issues from the past. We have to have a closer look, a deeper look. We're re-exploring and rediscovering something. And then when the planets move forward, and 4 of them are moving forward in October, 3 of them after months being in retrograde motion, there is naturally a sense of, okay, we have learnt, processed, hopefully, whatever we've needed to, and now we're ready to move forward again, into something new. We're ready to move forward. So that's been really important. And just before this...
I was just going to say, I've certainly felt that energy with, like, things have been put on hold, and it's like, but it's being built, that energy has been building up and building up. And now I feel like, the race gates are open, like the Melbourne Cup,
Yeah. And before that, you see, in the retrograde phase, there's often a sense of we're researching, we're preparing, we're laying the ground, we're working through things, we're maybe setting things in place, we're repairing things that need repair or fixing or reorganizing. So even just saying this, I'm using all these rewords.
Yeah.
And then as they move forward, it's like, okay, I'm ready now.
Yeah, you can.
The energy's moving. That's right.
Yeah, but you can still use the re-word moving forward, because it's like revigoration, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. That's reintegration, and that's right. That's right. So it's a process that goes on all the time. With the planets, every year these planets are going through long periods of retrograde. Mercury, of course, only does it for 3 weeks at a time, and he's a pesky little fellow.
Thank goodness.
Oh my God. I mean, just the stories I hear in my own experiences, I'm pretty good at making sure I'm on time for appointments and so on, but I've messed up a few appointments during this Mercury retrograde. And, my sister put her phone on top of the car, and she's super careful about stuff. And now she's lost her phone, because she drove off with the phone on top of the car. This is the kind of thing that happens. Anyway.
It's more than that, isn't it? Because I've noticed that it highlights the duality in situations.
That's right.
A lot. We've seen a lot of that lately on the world.
A lot.
Yeah.
a lot. So, we have to stop and question and go, oh, I wanted to go that way and I'm having to stop. I can't because something's stopping me and I've got to go back and find out this information or whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah. Very frustrating often. And as we were saying last time, October is a really powerful month astrologically. And as these planets slow right down to change direction, we often find ourselves feeling really quite tired until they gather speed again, and then we go, okay, I feel like things are picking up again. Yeah.
So can that affect people's sleep?
Yep. Definitely, depending on the nature of the planet as well. Yeah, but I've noticed that when they're stationary, and the slow moving planets can be pretty stationary for a week or two, and particularly around the exact date of the change of direction, it can sometimes feel a bit heavy, and then it gets moving and it sort of gathers momentum and okay, we're off, here we go. So on the 18th of October, Jupiter, the planet of expansion and positive vision in Aquarius, our vision of what's possible in the future, big collective ideas, movements, groups, organizations, people. Jupiter in Aquarius moved forward again after about 5 months in retrograde. And then on the 19th, the day after, Mercury turned direct again after 3 weeks in a retrograde period in Libra. And then on the 21st, we have the full moon. There's just so many things that are happening on almost a daily basis, one after another astrologically. It's almost hard to sort of pinpoint which one's affecting what, because together it's just a big story.
Well, I feel tired already.
That's right. And yet, in the middle of all of that, all those, constant challenges, often really fantastic things are happening as well. So yeah, it can be a really mixed bag. And of course, we're all impacted differently according to our own life and our own birth chart and what these things are setting off in our own chart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people can be experiencing Saturn changing direction differently according to their own nature and their own chart. So on the 21st of October, we have the full moon, which of course is the peak of this lunar cycle, which began back on the 6th at 13 degrees of Libra. So, technically this is still a Libran lunar cycle. So the fundamental theme is Libra: balance, harmony, justice, the law, beauty, human relationships, harmony in relationships, relationship issues, lots of that going on. But this whole lunar cycle, which is peaking on the 21st with the full moon, has a distinctive Mars signature, which is a sort of contradiction in a way, because Libra is ruled by Venus.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And normally you think, oh, a lovely Venusian Libran month ahead of us. But no, Mars has got a lot going on with this cycle. So on the new moon, Mars was exactly on the new moon back on the 6th. They were all, the sun, moon, Mars were all together at 13. So that's like a signature for this whole 4-week cycle. So then on the full moon, on the 21st, while the sun's at 27 degrees of Libra, the moon is at 27 degrees of Aries, which of course is ruled by Mars. And so Cheryl and I have these images of Aries behind us, the Aries ram on this Aries full moon. So, I'll speak what it is astrologically. It'll be a little bit confusing for some, but if they're not used to this language and so on and how it works. But the sun is still conjunct Mars over here, and that is opposite the moon in Aries. So, we've still got this Mars Aries energy kicking in. And that full moon, sun opposite moon with Mars, is square to Pluto. So it's a very potent, strong, intense, in some situations quite dramatic, full moon. And of course, Eris, who we mentioned last time, she's up there with the full moon in Aries. So the moon is full. Look at the gorgeous full moon image you've got behind you, with the Aries ram. And how does a ram approach things head first? How do rams, male sheep, go into battle head first?
Well, Aries is it's an arrow on target, isn't it?
Yes.
Like
it's direct.
I'm going for it direct. Absolutely. Yeah.
Direct, straight. This is masculine energy, and masculine energy at its best is direct and straightforward.
Yeah.
Clear, bam. And it acts, it takes action. Yeah. So every time there's a full moon, when the sun and the moon are in exact opposition to each other in the sky, and you can see it if you're out in a boat in the middle of the ocean, and in the west you see the sun going down, on the east you're going to see the moon coming up. They're sitting in exact opposition to each other. So, there's this Libra, and the sun's still in Libra, peace, harmony, balance, but the moon is now full in the sign of Aries. And with full moons, with the opposition, that word opposition, there are opposing energies here because these two signs are opposite each other. So, in Aries, we want to just go for it. We want to do our thing. It's naturally independent. It's feisty. It's fiery, assertive. Libra, we're focusing on relationship and the other, and harmony and balance and justice and so on.
So Aries is about the self and Libra is about others, isn't it?
Others.
Yeah, yeah. So you've got this self-assertion versus compromise situation.
That's right.
Libra is a very compromising sign, willing to negotiate.
That's right.
Very diplomatic. It's gracious. It has a balancing effect. And people I know who are Librans, they want calm waters. They don't like the waters to be ruffled, and they step in and try and help, smooth that. They're very fair-minded, equality-minded. And actually, because I did your workshop on the asteroids, and anyone who's watching this and is interested in that, you really should do it. It's a great training that the world offers. But I was thinking about the Greek goddess Athena, who, relates to this, I think, because she was known for her diplomacy, her wisdom, intelligence, reason, all those things that that balancing sort of energy.
She is. And at the same time, she's a warrior goddess.
Yeah.
So she, is birthed out of her father's head, Zeus, dressed for battle. She carries a spear. She has her war helmet on. She has the breastplate. She's ready to get into it, which is very Aries. But her primary method of battle is strategy and wisdom. Exactly. Yeah. So that's a beautiful example and an expression of, going into battle, but it's balanced with wisdom and justice, negotiation, but it's still battle, but it's using that ability to be strategic and perhaps using the law, winning the case in the law courts.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
That's right. So that's up.
Yeah. Yes. So how a solicitor prepares themselves, or a barrister prepares themselves for a court case, is they go in for battle, but they have all that knowledge.
That's right.
That wisdom and that strategy.
That's right.
To win the case. Yeah.
And so this will be going on in people's personal lives, in their relationships and so on. So there's a lot going on for people's relationships, both with partners, but also with people in general. And I'm hearing this all the time. And we're living in a time when there's a lot of, splitting and separating going on with family members, friends, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I think when it comes to relationships in this situation, just for anyone who's going through that though, is that this is the strategy, this is the diplomacy in a relationship. You don't go in and go like with blame and pointing fingers.
That's right.
That's a very Aries sort of attitude, I think.
That's right.
Libra is more about creating that connection and saying, okay, well, if this is bothering you, tell me exactly what's going on and how I could do something differently to in this situation that will help you be happier about the outcome. That's the sort of approach that
that's right.
Makes, yeah.
That's right. So, Libra is often more about win-win, and Aries is about just winning.
Yeah.
In a very simplistic way. That's right. At its most kind of basic, it's like me got club, let me dong you over the head.
Reminds me of Thor with the hammer.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of very, whereas Libra is, very much, and of course the shadow or the difficult side sometimes for Librans is a tendency perhaps to keep the peace at any cost at their own expense. So, none of this is clear and straightforward. There's all these levels and layers of it. Yeah.
And that's very true, actually, that they want that peace and harmony.
That's right.
But like you say, at their own expense, and it can also, they can do some fence sitting too.
That's right.
Fence sitting, and they can what am I trying to say? They can I'm trying to think of the word now. I can't think of the word. But anyway,
they often have difficulty declaring their position or point of view and making a decision, like even going out to dinner and choosing something on the menu.
Yes. People pleasing was what I was thinking.
That's it. Yeah. So these are all themes, and these two signs which become highlighted and heightened during the full moon, because the sun and the moon, the two luminaries, are fully lit and in this opposition. And the ideal, of course, is that they find some kind of integrated way of both being fully activated. But of course, there's a square to Pluto here, and Pluto is the lord of the underworld, that atomic energy of destruction and the revealing of the deepest, darkest shadows. And so it just brings an incredible intensity to this full moon. And as we said, this lunar cycle was very strong to start with because it was so Mars activated. So it's very, very strong full moon. And for some, like literally, for some people and situations or issues or relationships, whatever's going on in the world stage, in people's lives, this full moon can be one where a line is crossed, or somebody draws a line and says, no, that's my line. About anything, about like, for example, in a marriage, it might be that it's come to a point where one person says, that's it, I'm done, I can't anymore. That's Pluto. Pluto is often, when Pluto's strong, or when we're having strong Pluto transits at different times in our lives, and we all have, he's often that time when we just say, I cannot do this one more day, whether it's the job, the relationship, whatever it is, or a deep pattern in ourselves changes. I can't keep trying to please everybody. I have to now do something differently. And it can be very, very powerful, very empowering, a little traumatic. Pluto is not a lightweight energy. So I just think it's important that we know that, Pluto's a very important piece of this full moon. So yeah, it's a strong lunar cycle, this one.
So with that Aries energy of my personal needs versus Libra with the needs of others.
And the needs of the relationship. That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
See, that's what a conflict that is.
That's right. That's right. And a good outcome, of course, in whatever the scenario is that Pluto forces, let's say, just to illustrate it, it's a couple. The Pluto side of it is going to force or push or demand that those two individuals perhaps face things or deal with things that they've been avoiding.
Yes. Yep.
Here it is. Let's bring it all out to the surface. Let's go there. We've been avoiding this for years. You know, here it is. Let's get real. Let's get honest. Let's get naked, you know, about the issues. And it might be explosive, but let's then see where the land lies afterwards. That's the intensity of Pluto.
Yeah, well, Pluto can be toxic, can't it?
Very.
Yeah.
So you know, his ultimate purpose is to bring things up. Like it's time. This is time. And so there's a lot going on everywhere. Yeah, it's, you know, and I can feel whenever I talk about Pluto or Scorpio, which is the sign, I suddenly I go, oh, I can feel the intensity in me even when I'm speaking about it, you know.
I mean, when you talk about Pluto or I think about it, I sort of go, ooh, you know, like it's a real that intensity of it, you know.
It's so powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, the power.
And it can feel when we're in that energy of that planet, it can feel like life and death. You know, it's very strong. You know, we can't sort of just skip over the surface when we're talking about Pluto. It's strong. It is strong. And it is the planet of death and rebirth. So there's often endings, powerful experiences of something has come to an end, and it might have been coming for a long time, and then all of a sudden, that's it, it's done, it's ended, whatever it is. It can be, you know, a life has ended, a relationship has ended, a career path has ended, a friendship has ended, you know. Yeah, so it's strong stuff. And it's also is the planet of transformation. So it's also about our own personal inner transformation, which is really what it's all about in the end.
Yeah, and it's about stepping into our personal power too, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I think of Pluto and I think of the goddess Kali.
That's right.
That image, she's holding a head that's been severed and a sword in the other hand, you know.
That's right. And
people, I'm here, you know.
And I'm not messing around. That's right. That's right. We're getting real here. That's right. And you know, I always like to have a quick look at asteroids and just see if there's any interesting ones, like really active or prominent. So on this full moon, conjunct the planet Saturn, which is, you know, just turning forward again, direct again. The asteroid Kali is conjunct Saturn on this full moon. And, you know, that, of course, to me speaks of karma and reckoning and, you know, things really coming to a head. And here we are. We're facing something really critical here, you know, and it's quite strong. I also noticed the asteroid Pandora on the sun on this full moon. And so is the asteroid Monty Python, just for a bit of fun. So, and you know, there's something about everything we're all going through that is a bit Monty Python-esque, you know, so I think that's quite appropriate.
Don't we also already have the asteroid Eris in Gemini?
Yes.
I think I was looking it up. It's July 31 to December 2021. So
definitely
coming out of Taurus, which is, you know, safe spaces, financial assistance, but now moving into that Gemini.
That's right.
Nurturing through conversation, because it's the goddess of nurturing.
Yes.
You know, nurturing through conversation and communication, and also our higher mind.
That's right. So, and she's traveling with the Black Moon Lilith too. So there's themes here around, you know, speaking out and speaking up and expressing our voice and using our voice. But
also using it in a way that it becomes a form of healing, I think.
That's right.
There's been a lot of finger pointing and spitting, basically, verbal spitting at people all over the place with differences of opinion. And I think now that's going, you know, with that Ceres going into Gemini, that changes into looking at how we're communicating and doing it in a way that, you know, nurtures each other rather than hurting each other.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so she'll be there for some time, and that's right. And really bringing our attention to the way we're communicating and what we're saying and how we're saying it. Yeah, and just being more conscious.
Yes.
Yeah. So, so that's the full moon. So it's a doozy, folks. It's a strong one, and that's not to be something to be frightened of. You know, we've been through many of these things throughout our lives, and but just to understand that there's this almost a kind of, often with Pluto, when Pluto energy is very strong and it is on this full moon, it often is a kind of purging that goes on, you know, a releasing of something, and we come out of something that we might have been struggling with. Because with a full moon, what happens, you know, looking at that moon behind you, it's like there she is now. She's fully illuminated. And of course, on full moons, the energy is very high, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
It always is. Everything has come to a peak. Everything's up. There's no shadow realm. It's like it's all lit. She's fully lit.
Illumination. Yeah.
Illumination.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So then on the 23rd, dun, 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 dun,
Oh no.
the sun leaves Libra and goes into Scorpio.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've just been talking a lot about Pluto. Well, of course, Pluto is the planet that rules or governs the sign of Scorpio. It's almost like this full moon that's so Plutonic, and Mars and Libran and all of that is a sort of a prelude to the sun moving into the sign of Scorpio. And of course, that happens every year around the 21st, 22nd. It happens to be on the 23rd this year. And you know, through to around about the 22nd or so of November. So 4 weeks, we move into the Scorpio time of the year. So all the Scorpio people will be having their birthdays. And in my experience, and over the years, as I just watch and experience and feel these things, it's always a very deep time. And people who are quite sensitive and aware of these things can feel it very quickly, like, whoa, all of a sudden everything just gone, whoa, really deep. And people start saying things like, I feel like I'm wading through thick treacle. You know, it can feel a bit sludgy. It can feel a little bit heavy. We can feel quite emotional, quite tired, because Scorpio is a sign that takes us deep beneath the surface. There's nothing surface going on here. It's down we go, down we go, down we go. And now some people are wired up to go, great, that's my territory. You know, I'm at home. And other people just, yeah, that's right. Yeah, not so easy for other folks. Depends how we are. So it's a deep time. And it's, of course, what is Scorpio actually about? It's about transformation. It's about death and rebirth, like it's planet Pluto. So we always get to face and experience things in a much deeper way, which can be amazing and wonderful and empowering and tremendously transformative. It can also be very challenging and sometimes quite traumatic. And I've noticed very often when we're in the Scorpio time of year, we seem to be more aware of death, because it is a sign of death and rebirth. Yep. And so quite often you find in the public arena, like significant people, such as our favorite movie actor or actress or singer, or, you know, or political people, you know, significant people have suddenly, like, so-and-so's just died. Have you heard so-and-so's just died?
Yeah, like boom, 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 a whole lot of them.
Yeah.
It's a generational thing too, isn't it?
That's right. So that often kind of comes up around this time, or we're facing issues of death and birth and what's my life really about? You know, we're going much deeper.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And with that, with the that Aries energy, you know, there's a sense of mission and purpose to, like, what, stopping and going, what is my life about? You know,
that's right.
Why am I here?
That's right.
Aries likes to be on a mission, doesn't it?
Absolutely, because it's nature is action.
Yep.
You know, and that's an interesting thing about the polarity of Aries with Libra, because Libra will sit in the middle ground and go, well, I can see both sides and I'm not really ready to make a decision yet. In fact, I'm a bit stressed about the idea of making a choice because I can see the validity of both sides. And Aries, oh, for goodness sake, let's just go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Action, responding immediately to what's, coming up in the moment. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Scorpio is interesting for another reason. I mean, I could talk for days about Scorpio. There's so much to say about it. But Pluto, its governing planet, was only discovered in 1930. Of course, we know what was happening in the 30s. The Third Reich and Hitler were rising, and the prelude to the war and so on. All of that was going. It was an incredible expression of the Lord of the Underworld rising up from the underworld, expressed in that situation as the planet has been discovered. Oh yes, that's what I was going to say. I lost my trail there for a minute. So it was only discovered in 1930 as what we call the modern ruler of Scorpio. What planet ruled Scorpio before 1930? Because astrology is thousands of years old. It was Mars. So Scorpio has a Mars energy associated with it as well. So, we're kind of back into some of that Mars energy. So
I think it's going into Scorpio at the end of the month too, isn't it?
Exactly. On the 31st, on Halloween.
I know.
Mars goes into its own traditional sign of Scorpio.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a lot, and
we have the energy of Gemini there too. Do we still have?
What? Yes, Ceres and the Black Moon and the North Node are still in Gemini.
Okay, right. No, I was just wondering because that's the time when we can receive. I mean, that's traditionally the time when the veil's thin and
yes.
the communication from the other side to the unseen worlds makes itself known. So I'm just thinking about how does Gemini fit in with that, or does it not even really fit in with that? Because it's the messenger. It's the what am I trying to think of? The not the Hierophant, the
psychopomp.
The psychopomp, yeah.
Well, on the 6th of November, while the Sun and Mars are still in Scorpio, Mercury will go into Scorpio.
Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So maybe some people who've got that strong placement in their chart might actually, I mean, I could imagine that would be when you start to have spontaneous mediumship.
Absolutely.
And communications with deceased loved ones. You might even see a deceased loved one or a ghost.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And all the questions about, well, what is death?
Yeah.
What is it really? And, am I terrified of dying and I'll do anything to not, to prevent that happening? Or am I, do I see death as just another phase and, I've had many lives and on we go, it's just how we understand and experience that. And so when we're in this Scorpio time of year, all those themes, like they arise, they come up, and we're kind of deep in the shadow realms in many ways, and the darker side of our human nature can erupt to the surface, sometimes in not very pleasant ways. That's all a part of it, but it's essentially, and I've always said this because in my experience with friends, people I know, clients, students, and I know a lot of people like this, people who work in areas of psychology, therapy, healing, any of that deeper transformational work, they always have Scorpio energy in their chart. Yeah. So because it's the sign through which we can do deep inner transformation. It's an extraordinary thing, actually, and it's not always for the faint-hearted, and it's not always easy.
No. Yeah, it's you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
That's right. That's right. So, you know, we're coming into a time where there can be lots of death on many levels, death as a metaphor, but actual death, and, you know, endings and letting go and all, because it's a water sign too, it can bring up such deep emotions from incredibly deep grief to, like, you know, Aries is often just hot anger. Like an Aries can get angry and 5 minutes later it's all over. But in Scorpio, it's that deep, deep rage. Yep. It's always intense. Whatever it is in Scorpio, it's intense.
Yes, bubbling up like lava under the surface of the earth, you know, and boom, break open the crust with a volcanic eruption. And yeah.
So volcanic eruptions, especially with Mars in Scorpio, you know, like literally, like there's already quite a bit of activity going on around the planet in that regard. I think we're likely to see more. But volcanic eruptions within ourselves and in our relationships and our circumstances, you know, it can get quite volcanic, actually.
You know what? I just want to say to people that these things sound a bit like, I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does you really good to blow your top, because often it's because you have kept your mouth. Diplomatic Libra has kept its mouth shut for so long.
That's right.
You know, there's nothing like letting that out, and, you know, just getting rid of it out of your system. You might want to shout it inside your car when you're driving along, or in one of your rooms at home. But
exactly.
It's a really good thing to do.
Exactly. You know, back in the day when we all had those old phone books, you know, the telephone books, directories, you know, there was all these kind of things. You could get a stack of them and a piece of hose and just whack the thing, you know, or, you know, punching it just to release. Because, you know, in medical astrology, Scorpio is the sign of the purging of toxins. So it's a purging energy. And we all feel better after a big purge, whether it's a release of anger or just a big, big, big cry, or being able to spill the beans and just get off our chest something that we've been holding on to for a long time.
You're finding a good friend who'll just be your, you know, your board, your bounce board for you.
And that's right. And just let it all hang out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is what we do when we go to a therapist that we trust. We know they hold a safe space, which is why they always have Scorpio energy. Yeah. And we can just go there, you know, and that's where the healing and transformation. It's a very alchemical energy.
Yes. Yeah.
Kind of shamanic, alchemical, transformative. Yeah. I sometimes feel like I have to champion the sign of Scorpio, because a lot of people are very wary of this sign. And I know it isn't always easy, but it's incredible in the way, you know, when we come out the other side of it, we are changed. We've been released from something, you know?
Yeah.
So it's powerful time. And of course, all of this is leading up to the last square between Saturn and Uranus at the end of December. So between now and then, there's a lot happening astrologically, and there's going to be a lot happening on planet Earth. Things are intensifying, aren't they?
Yes, yes, yes. It's like, you know, you say that and my mind goes, you know, like there's so much, I almost can't put it into words, you know.
There's so much happening.
Yeah. But it's been like that since, you know, beginning of last year. And
that's right.
Almost every time we do one of these segments, it's just like you're trying to get all this information that's in your head together, distill it down and get it out. But it's just overwhelming. There's
so much of it. That's right.
Yeah.
There's so much happening, and everywhere, on all levels, everywhere, so much happening. And a lot of it's going on behind the scenes, which is Scorpio as well. You know, what's going on literally in the basement and underground. That's both literal and a metaphor.
Yeah.
You know, So Mars, the warrior energy in Scorpio, his own sign. Remember, Mars rules Scorpio and Aries. He's the old ruler of Scorpio and Aries, and now we have Pluto for Scorpio. But, you know, Mars in Scorpio for 6 weeks from, the end of this month all the way through November and the first half of December, he ain't messing around. And and I know it's, you have to speak like this when we're talking about this energy. It has a certain power and potency and intensity and a bit of drama about it, but this is just how it is. It's to the death. That's how Mars in Scorpio feels. It's like absolute clarity about its purpose, whether it's for good or for bad is not the point. It's just whatever it's on about. It has that feeling of this is to the death. It's very, very strong. So
and that might be a little bit frightening for some people, but don't worry, because you will still be here, but it just means it's a big struggle.
And the other thing that remember, which I think is helpful, Mars goes through Scorpio every 2 years. So how many times have we experienced Mars going through Scorpio? A lot. This is not like a once in a lifetime thing. Every 2 years Mars goes through Scorpio.
I think it's just highlighted in people's minds because of the pandemic paranoia, shall we say, and that it's created. And I do think in the next 3 to 5 years we're going to see some results in society from everything that's going on these last years,
for sure,
that may even be quite unexpected.
Yes.
And worrying and concerning, but people survive. We have resilience. We get through things. We just do, because humans are the greatest adapters. I'm always in amazement at what people can get through, and how they adapt and grow and change and come out the other side better than ever.
Absolutely. Which is a very Plutonic Scorpionic process, and so creative. That. What is that thing? Necessity is the mother of invention, and people just get creative. When pushed up against a wall, there are ways to work with where we're at.
Yeah, and this is what's happened through history, isn't it? We typically, when things have been difficult and challenging, after that, there's been this huge release of creative energy.
Exactly.
Where like after World War II, for example, look what happened in the 60s.
That's right.
all this stuff.
Massive release.
Yeah, it was just amazing. So, it's just that we're going through that process now.
That's right.
And I think that people should always know that we're sort of, beginning, middle, end. It should pass.
Yeah. And these kinds of times like this, when we've got strong, Pluto was very strong in January last year when all this started. He was an important piece of the story. But when we're going through times of this strong, powerful, transformative energy, we shed a lot of things. We clear a lot of stuff. We become more empowered. We become more clear about what we're about, and we're cleaning up stuff. And that's so important. And it can get down to, like, if you've got an intention, you're just going to really clean out your house while Mars and Scorpio, you are going to do it so thoroughly and so deeply, like you'll leave no stone unturned. I think that's a great phrase for this Scorpio, leaving no stone unturned to get to the bottom of something. And getting down in the dark corners of your cupboard and pulling out that stuff from your pantry that you haven't moved for 3 years, get it out and decide what you're going to do with it. That's so, even on those just fundamental day-to-day living levels, it's very powerful. And then when we come in, now this is the good news, after Scorpio, when these planets move into Sagittarius later in the year, that's the release you're talking about. It's like, yay, we're out. We're out of the tunnel. We're out of it can feel a bit cave-like when we're in Scorpio. We're kind of down in it. And then there's this tremendous release, like you were saying, out into the wide open spaces of Sagittarius. It's exhilarating, but it's exhilarating because of what came before it.
Yep. Yeah.
So we're coming into that, that deep part now. And, and I understand it, I appreciate it, I get it. And it doesn't mean I like it either. But I do understand it, and I do understand what its purpose is. So, yep.
And if people, when people, and this is what I love about astrology, if you can understand something,
yep,
you can endure it.
Absolutely.
You don't know what's going on. If things are unknown, you don't know. You start, everything gets projected and
that's right.
The future, and it's bigger, more mountainous than what it actually is.
Yeah. And we've all had times in our life where we've been through really powerful Pluto transits and things like that. And not only do we survive, often after them, we thrive in a whole new way. It's just, these are just necessary phases. So, okay. Look, on the 27th, there's a Venus is going through Sagittarius at the moment, and through pretty much all this month. And that's quite a nice piece. It's a bit of light relief, you could say. Venus, the Libran planet, the goddess of love and beauty and connecting and relating, when she's in Sagittarius, she's a bit of a party girl. She wants to play. She wants to have fun and adventures and get together with people and laugh and dance and have a good time. And that's sort of one level of it. It's also got a lot to do with the heart really expanding and opening to a new vision of what's possible, because she is about the heart, essentially. So in Sagittarius, I think a really good thing to consider is what makes us happy. Venus and Sagittarius, what makes you happy? Then do more of that.
Yes.
Even in the midst of all the Scorpio stuff, do more of what makes you happy. I ran a women's painting party over the weekend. We had the best fun. And it's just women coming together and playing and having a gorgeous time together. And nobody brought up any of the drama or the stuff that's going on in the world. Not for a second. We were just there to enjoy being together and having a good time, and it was very healing and very therapeutic. So Venus and Sag, make the most of her presence in Sagittarius. Get together with your friends,
Yep, that's what I'm doing.
That's what you're doing. I know, it's fabulous. That's right.
Getting with my tribe.
That's right. And enjoying yourselves and laughing and playing and, having a break from all the intensity of everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's really nice. And on the 27th, she'll make a square to Neptune in Pisces, which actually can be very beautiful for spiritual opening, heart opening, fine-tuning ourselves, receiving messages, insights. For some who are highly intuitive, they might find themselves kind of channeling, things coming through. If anyone's creative, artistic, you kind of feel like the muse is really present and you're feeling very inspired and just want to play your guitar or the piano or, get up to your easel. And, it's a beautiful opening for those, in that last week, really, of October. So Mars into Scorpio on the 31st on Halloween, which is pretty amazing timing, actually.
Yes, I think that's very good time for table tipping. A little bit of table tipping.
I've never heard that before.
Haven't you?
No.
We'll be doing some of that, Babula, when you come to the Halloween party.
Yes, I think we will be. Fantastic. Wow, fantastic. What fun. Ooh. So now on the 5th of November, of course, we have the new moon. So this current cycle that we're in, which peaks at the full moon on the 21st, completes on November the 5th. And it's another potent new moon. So it's going to be another really powerful lunar cycle after this one. And we will definitely talk a lot more about that when we come together.
Can I just double check something? When does Venus go into Sagittarius, or when did it? Or
she went into Sag I haven't got, that was a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And I haven't got that noted down in.
Yeah, I was just wondering whether, because we're pre-recording this, I wasn't sure whether we'd already gone into it by the time people.
Oh yeah, no, she's well and truly in Sag.
Okay.
She's been in Sag for a while, but she comes out of Sagittarius on the 5th, on the next new moon.
Oh, right.
She'll go into Capricorn.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So, from, now and through to the 5th, the next new moon, Venus is in Sagittarius.
Yes.
So, really, it's a beautiful, I think, a very nice sort of helpful sort of relief in a way from the, the intensity, and at times it could feel quite heavy.
Yeah. Well, Sagittarius is, it's fun loving. It's everyone's mate, basically.
That's right.
It loves a party.
Yeah.
I always think of Sagittarius as, it loves the smorgasbord of life.
That's right.
And then Venus goes into that, and again, that's that love of that.
That's right.
Of it,
adventure, experiences. Yeah, laughter, and yes.
It's, isn't it? Sagittarius to me is about harvest too. Always coming into the end of the year.
Yeah.
Coming into the summer.
Yes.
And the fruit, the plants have borne fruit. The harvest is born, whatever it is, the crop. Yeah. And it's a celebration and all those sorts of
things. It is because, it comes after Scorpio. It's a celebration of new life. And, the sun goes into Sagittarius, and often, then Mercury and Venus and so on, at the end of the year, as we're leading up to Christmas. And so people get into party mode.
Yes, yes.
Because it's Sagittarius energy.
And I don't get out of it until the end of January.
Well, no, people who are Sagittarian or have a lot of Sagittarius, they go, well, isn't that just normal? That's right.
Yes.
But, there's also a more serious side to Sag, and that is it's also the sign of truth and higher knowledge. It has a deeper meaning as well as, but it's always, all the Sagittarians I know, and I know lots of them, they just love life and they just want to experience everything. But it's also the sign of the truth seeker.
Yes.
Search for truth, the search for meaning, what is true. And so we go on journeys around the globe. We go on spiritual journeys, religious journeys, where it's a sign of the quest, the search. So there's that side, which is what you've done a lot of your life, hasn't you? You always
absolutely
searching, higher knowledge and truth. And
and I also think of the centaur, with the arrow.
Yeah,
it's like sending out seeds of information.
That's right.
Out to the world, as well, because it's also the eternal student and teacher.
That's right. Many Sagittarians are natural teachers, whether they're formally a teacher or just in whatever field they're in. They're just naturally wanting to share ideas and knowledge and with other people. Yeah, that's just what it does. So yeah,
all very interesting.
Yeah. So, and then of course, next month, and we'll get to that, we're going to come into eclipse season when the new and full moons actually form eclipses. So there's a lot happening, from October all the way through to the end of the year with the big final Saturn-Uranus square.
Yeah. And for the viewers, if you can see that chart, where am I? It's hard to do back to front.
Yes, it is back to front. Yes, there's the zodiac behind you.
The zodiac there. That's the story of life. That's the story of a personal journey, and that's what astrology is all about, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So now you've got a workshop coming up on is it the 21st of November? Did I remember that right?
Which one's that? I've scheduled a few. I should have had that in front of me.
That's all right. I'm just about what's coming up for 2022.
Oh, yes. I'll be doing a day workshop here at my place at Forest Lake on all of the unfolding of the planets and transits and eclipses for next year. And I'm also going to offer the same thing online.
Mm.
And I do that every year in person, but this year I thought I'd do the online version as well to make it more available. And frankly, I can't remember what date it is, but
I think it was the 21st.
thanks.
It just sticks in my mind for some reason.
I should hire you as my manager.
Personal assistant for hire.
Personal assistant.
Yes, it is. It's Sunday the 21st.
So yes, so that's here, and it's always a really valuable thing to, you know, just really unpack all of that and see what are the main themes and the main, what is it, you know, what do we feel it's going to look like? What are the energies coming up for? Because it's, you know, we're in big times, and it's really helpful to look ahead and
and I think people watching these episodes with us may have developed more of an interest in astrology too. So if you want to get a taste of 2022, and I think a lot of us want to be aware, we sort of want to be more prepared these days because we've had 2 years, haven't we? And we think, God, what next? You know, that's the question that everyone says, what next?
I know. And the other question that I get all the time, Babura, when is all this going to be over?
Yes.
Is there an end in sight?
Yes. So that workshop will give us some insights about that, actually a lot more than insights. It'll give you a lot of information. I know Babula always jam-packs her workshops with information. So you'll really enjoy that, and I'll be there. And
yes, you'll be there.
I'll pour the coffees. I don't know.
Thank you.
In the spirits while I'm there.
That's right. Well, that's the other beautiful thing that I love about, you know, the in-person is that everyone comes with their own energies and qualities and life experience and knowledge and so on. And so it all, you know, in person, there's more space for that to all kind of weave together too, and people can ask questions, and we look at time allowing, we look at some of the participants' charts and put them up on the screen, and because all of whatever's unfolding in the collective next year will impact individuals differently according to how that triggers things in our own birth chart.
Yeah.
Like I'm heading for some big transits next year.
Oh, you have to put your chart up there. I'd love to hear more about that.
Big ones. So I'm going, okay, buckle up, kiddo, because
you're not leaving the planet, are you? Sure.
No. I've always felt I'm going to be around for a long time. Yeah, not departing, just big changes.
Not that big.
Not that big.
Okay.
But I'm already kind of preparing, and I'm already sort of changing up a few things because I know I can see ahead that, okay, yeah, you need to realize and recognize, and now's the time to be putting certain things in place.
Yep. And that's the beauty of astrology, to be prepared.
That's right.
So everyone, if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to give it a like. And if you're visiting for the first time or just cruising on through, you know, feel free to subscribe, tap the bell to make sure you get the notifications from us when we upload these episodes. And we'll put our contact details in the description for you down below.
Yep.
And we look forward to seeing you next time. So thank you so much, Babula.
Always a pleasure, Cheryl.
And so until next time, everyone, bye for now.
Bye, everyone.